Hello, so today I'm going to go through a 2017 A2 macro paper. I'm going to go through section A, which is the first part of the paper, which is a mixture of multiple choice and short answer questions. As you can see here, it's the 2017 paper. It's Economics A, which is just pure economics. It's paper 2, which is macro. And yeah, I think that's everything that you need to know. I'm going to run through it as quickly as I can, but I'm going to also explain my reasoning behind each thing, just check understanding. Hopefully this will be helpful for you. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So you are advised to spend 30 minutes on this section. Most students who I teach will spend way less than 30 minutes on it because they want to prioritize the longer essay style questions, which I completely agree with. And I think it's the smart thing to do. But regardless, I'm going to run through each question as quickly as I can, and again, explain the theory. So the chart below shows the UK unemployment rate seasonally adjusted from 2008 to 2015. This is the financial crisis. Obviously, it goes up. And this is pre-Brexit, 2015. So which one of the following types of unemployment best explains the change in the data between 2008 and 2010? Well, I mean, in this period, there is the financial crisis, so it's a recession. It is not frictional, that's people, I mean, the best type, it might have frictional, it's not seasonal, and it's not voluntary. So the most likely one is cyclical because this is changes in the business cycle. The one that I was umming and ahhing about is the frictional one. This is people looking for jobs, or households looking for just before starting their jobs. It would describe it. There will be people who are frictionally unemployed, but it's not the best reason for it. The best reason is because of the recession, which describes cyclical unemployment. Explain the likely effects on the circular flow of income on the change in unemployment between 2013 and 2015. Okay, so I think what you want to think about is the injections to the circular flow and into the circular flow of income and withdrawals. That's what I would be thinking about. Injections, these are government spending plus investment plus exports. Exports is an X, and the leakages are tax, savings, and imports. So let's have a look, 2013, 2015. 2013 is here, 2015 is there. Unemployment rate is decreasing. I mean, we want to make sure that we're mentioning unemployment rate. So between 2013 and 2015, the unemployment rate drops from 8% to is 5.5%. So there are fewer people unemployed. Explain the likely effects on circular flow of income. Okay, so as a result, household confidence will increase. Therefore, the level of savings decrease. So yeah, I think we've got everything there. We've got all the injections, we've got this, got that. I'm just trying to think whether, I think this will get you 2 marks for knowing what the injections and withdrawals are. In fact, I'm pretty sure that will get you. Explain one possible reason for the changes in the marginal propensity to save as shown in the table. So marginal propensity to save is just how much of like 1 additional pound earned by households is saved? And 2 months. Okay, so I mean, you can see here that saving is decreasing each year. So what they're saying is that 2010, for every extra pound you earn, you would save 11p basically. And in 2015, it was 4p. So the MPS has decreased because of lower unemployment, which increases consumer confidence. Yeah, there's one mark, MPS decreasing. There's a second mark. Explain the likely effect of the marginal save on the value of the multiplier. But I think, oh, okay. If the MPS decreases, the marginal propensity to consume, which is the opposite of MPS, increases. Therefore, the multiplier increases in value. And I mean, I could put the two formulas of the multiplier if I wanted to. I feel like it's overkill, but I'll do it anyway. So 1 is 1 over 1 minus MPC, or you can have 1 over MPW, and MPW is the sum of MPM plus MPS plus MPT. These are all the withdrawals from the circular flow of income. M is imports, S is savings, T is taxes. Okay, an economy has a marginal propensity to save of 0.1. Okay, like this is exactly what I'm saying. 1 over 0.1 plus 0.2 plus 0.1. So it's 1 over 0.4, which is 2.5. So the answer is D. Cool, CPI. This is all about inflation. The consumer price index measured by the basket of goods and services changes. Which one of the following statements is correct about the UK's inflation record between September 2011 and January 2013? The CPI is the black line, so it's this one that we're looking at to here. So the rate of inflation is always positive, but it's falling, which is disinflation. So based on the experience, B, disinflation. Deflation is this bit below 0%, so it's when the rate of inflation is negative. Falling average prices is incorrect because prices are increasing, but they're just falling. They're increasing rate at a slower rate, so that's wrong. And a falling money supply, we don't know what's happening with the money supply, but it's unlikely if you're having inflation like that, especially with the UK government and the Bank of England. With reference to the data provided, explain the process of calculating the rate of inflation in the UK using the consumer price index. Refer to the concept of weights in your answer. Okay, cool. So inflation is the sustained increase in prices of goods and services over a given time period. Inflation in the UK is measured typically on an annual basis. The CPI is calculated using a basket goods and services purchased by the average household and I mean the items, this is one of the longest ones I've seen. Items are weighted according to the proportion of spending on each product. So what that means is that you'll have different prices of goods which the average household buys. So you'll have fuel, you'll have milk, for example, but you will look at basically how often and how much of the typical budget those goods make up of your household budget, and therefore give them weightings accordingly. So if you're always buying milk, for example, it's relatively inexpensive, but it's still something which people are buying regularly. So it's going to take up, it's going to represent a cost to the average household. So now the last thing that we need to do is reference the data. So I think the easiest thing to do basically is just to take a rate of inflation. I mean, this looks like the easiest one because January 2015 is 0%. So in Jan 2015, the CPI inflation rate was 0%, which means that the prices didn't change. Oh, the Gini coefficient. Okay, so measured from 0 to 1. 0 is perfect equality. 1 is the opposite of perfect inequality, as in one person has all of the income or wealth of a nation. This is of incomes, so it's, yeah, measuring incomes. Does anyone like the reason for the change in UK income inequality since 2007? Okay, so that, oh, since then. So it's just decreased over that time period. So the first thing I'm going to do is reference the data. So the Gini coefficient has fallen from 0.36 in 2007 to let's say 0.34 approximately in 2013. So I guess you could say, I mean, the financial crisis occurred in 2008. And you could say inequality of incomes decreased due to high earners losing their jobs in banking. Quite a regular occurrence at the time. This is just like, yeah, I can't see any other way. I can't see any other way that you'd really, you know, spread it, like explain it. I mean, you could talk about benefits, but then there was austerity measures, which meant that benefits in real terms weren't necessarily increasing. Yeah, so I would go for this one thinking about the people who had the highest income and who were most impacted by the financial crisis, which are the bankers. So which one of the following values for the Gini coefficient is correct if there's perfect income equality? Well, I answered that at the beginning, 0. 1 is perfect inequality, so that's wrong. So this is the last question. So the table for section A. The table shows the selected economic data in 2014 for Vietnam and India, GNI and HDI. Which one of the following statements can be deduced from the table and from the data in the table? Average incomes are higher in India than in Vietnam. Yes. GNI is higher in India. Levels of absolute poverty are higher in Vietnam. No. Life expectancy is higher in India than Vietnam. No, most likely not, because the HDI is lower. Provision of healthcare and education is less effective in Vietnam. No, that's wrong again, because they've got a higher HDI value, which means that it's likely that the education is better and the healthcare is better as well. People are living for longer, so life expectancy is longer. So HDI, there are 3 main components. One is GNI per capita. The second is education. Within education, it's mean years of schooling. And average number of years of schooling. And then the final one is life expectancy. So the only one that is really, you can see here is correct, is average incomes seem to be higher just because of this figure on the left-hand side, the GNI per capita to 2011. With reference to the data provided, explain 2 limitations of using HDI to compare levels of development between countries and over time. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is probably make reference to the data. So let's just take Vietnam. Vietnam's HDI is 0.666. Okay, 2 limitations. Okay. I suppose if you take it, if you look at this GNI per capita, it ignores income inequality. So 1 limitation of HDI is that it doesn't account for income inequality. Therefore, the average person may have a lower income due to the highest earners in that country taking the majority of the income or earning the majority of the income. Okay, so that's 1 limitation, and second limitation is that it ignores the quality of education. So you might say some countries may have education as a legal requirement, until 18. So this is the UK, for example, but the quality of education is poor. And then you could say, therefore, HDI is ineffective as a measure of development over time. And then you are done. Boom. Full marks. I mean, I'm saying that to myself, but this is, I mean, I guarantee you that would get 4 marks because I've referenced the data. I've got 2 limitations. I've given analysis. I think you would only need analysis for 1 of them to get the analysis marks. So the breakdown of the marks would be that you get knowledge would be 2, application would be 1, and analysis would be 1. All right, there we go. We're done. And here you can see a question probably about how the euro has depreciated against the pound over time. Or actually, sorry, has appreciated over time, as you can see there. Okay, so again, if you have any questions in relation to any of the questions included on this paper, just drop them in the comment section. Hopefully you find this useful, and maybe you share it with people who you know if they are struggling. And I am going to go on a bit of a mission and try and get as many of these done as possible. So yeah, just if you like it, I don't know, just like it. I don't know how this really works, to be honest. And I'll just keep going. Thanks very much. See ya.